welcome to TWF NXT. I, Mike today, Jim Ross and Booker T here, and today on NXT we are going to see a good show here today. We don't know what we're going to see here today, but we hope that it is a good show nonetheless. Hope that it's going to be a good show. Here today on NXT, Mike today says. You got that right, Jim Ross says. A lot of folks out there might want to say, a lot of folks out there always want to have a held belief over what NXT stands for. It really doesn't truly stand for anything. It could stand for next when you took the E out of it, Jim Ross says. But we're going to have a good show here today. I'll tell you one thing, Mike and Jim Ross. We know we're going to have here today. We have to go look for Peach, and here is Peach now. So it looks like Peach says that I won Galled in the Boundary, which will now give me the right to take on, where's that so I can show you my winnings. Fuck! Here we go. Well, so here it is. This is the box, the Galled in the Boundary box that we didn't have with us last Saturday or last Star Day at Galled in the Boundary, but we have it now. And this gives me the right to, to yield in on any of the sundriest TWF fighters. That could be the TWF heavyweight or world heavyweight fighter. That could be the TWF Pennsylvania Right fighter, the TWF Allegheny Share fighter, the TWF light heavyweight fighter, the TWF, 24/7 fighter, TWF hard metal fighter, hell, the TWF women's heavyweight fighter, the women's world heavyweight fighter, and the TWF tag team fighters, the TWF women tag team fighters. So I could yield in on any one of those ones. What I know that what a lot of folks like to do is they like to yield in on the first night they win it and believe that that's going to be the win for them. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. There have been many times where you have seen sundries folks went Galled in the Boundary, even when it was a match, even before it became its own yield show. And you'd see how some of them would win it right away, and how some of them would yield, and how some of them, they would never, So, the way that I look at this, I could choose, and what winnings would I choose? Well, I could choose, the TWF heavyweight and world heavyweight fighter Cody Rhodes, the Vinlander Nightmare. Yeah, that would be the smoothest choose, to choose him. That's even if we know where he's at. Yeah. Well, the truth is, we do know where he's at. So here he comes. Alright, Peach. I see that you won Galled in the Boundary. And there have been many Galled in the Boundary winners in WWE over the years. It's going as early, I'm going to say as early as, 2005 YL, something like that. And at TWF, not really too far away from that. And I heard you list off all the straps and all the winnings that you could yield for And a lot of folks like to pick, they like to pick, if it's in WWE, a lot of them like to pick the 4-1 WWE heavyweight winnings, which includes, the World Heavyweight winnings, the 2006 between FYL1, which was bonded with the W Heavyweight winnings, and, in 2022 YL. And it always seems to be the smoothest thing. Hell, they could pick the yield in, on a TWF heavyweight and world heavyweight fighter, since that would mean that, since I have both of those, do you really want to yield that in here today? Well, I've been thinking about that. If I do or I do not want to yield it in. Because it would say I do yield it in. And then we have the match. And then you beat me. Well, then I just blew my time. But then would say I do yield it in. Then I beat you. And then I become the TWF heavyweight and world heavyweight fighter. Now I know that would not go down very well, and it might not be law to what's going on in WWE right now. Since TWF mostly offshooted from sometimes what they see in TNAW or in WWE, not so much NWA or MLW or OVW or AEW, sorry. But the way it goes, like, if I yield it in and it doesn't work out, then I just blew it. So, are you going to yield it in on me? Or are you not going to yield it in on me? No, I'm not going to yield it in on you right away. I'm going to pick my time. I'm not going to be one of those dummies that yields it in on the first, when they first win it and it doesn't work out for them. I mean, there are some wrestlers, they yielded it in, it didn't work out for them. Well, that need be true. But when I do yield it in on you, Cody Rhodes, I will do what no one else, as far as who won Galled in the Boundary in WWE or in the TWF ever did, beyond Rob Van Dam. So I'll tell you that when, where that's going to happen. Well, alright. Thank you for letting me know that. And I know that some folks may have thought they were going to see a match or a fight here today. And sorry about that. But we will see a match or a fight tomorrow on Dynamite or Might. I gotta take my leave now. Well, Jim, looks like Mike today says we mostly got to hear today from Peach, the Galled in the Boundary winner, that she won Galled in the Boundary last Saturday or last Star Day. Go look at that film. It is up for you to watch if you want to see it. Mike today says. I'll tell you one thing right now, Jim Ross says. Peach, Daisy, Toastal, whatever name you want to give her, she did the onlooking way. She did what Rob Van Dam did with John Cena in 2006 YL when he won Galled in the Boundary at Wrestle Madness, and then told John Cena he would be yielding it in on him on the 2-1 one night stand. Everybody else since then just yields it in, either the first night they win it, or when the heavyweight or the WWE heavyweight or heavyweight fighter's been beaten down in some kind of bind or something. Jim Ross said, I tell you right now, Mike and Jim, I never won Galled in the Boundary, but I was in some Galled in the Boundaries, mostly only I think only 3 of them during my first run in WWE. So, but I do want to say that Pete should have cashed in on Cody Rhodes, the Vinlander Nightmare, right here, right now. We would have had a match, we had a fight. And who knows, Peach, Daisy, Toastal, whatever borrowed name you want to give her, she would have been the new TWF heavyweight and world heavyweight fighter. Well, that's your belief, Booker T, and I guess you have that right to it, Mike Today said. Take it away to Bob Walk. Thank you, Mike Today and Jim Ross. I'm going to be talking with Peach here today on NXT. Peach, some folks might feel let down that you didn't cash in your Galled in the Boundary here today and have a match with the Vinlander Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, the TWF heavyweight and world heavyweight fighter. Well, sometimes in life, Bob Walk, you have to pick and choose what time, what stead to do things. I have to be ready. Cody Rhodes has to be ready. Everything has to be so. I'm not going to be one of those dummies that, that rushes in, yields their Galled in the Boundary winnings on the same night that they want it. We've seen a lot of both WWE men wrestlers and WWE women wrestlers do that. I'm not going to do that. I know the time, I know the stead, and I will yield it in on Cody Rhodes, the Vinlander Nightmare. And if everything goes the right way, then I will be the new TWF heavyweight and world heavyweight fighter. Well, tell me, Peach, you're the only one that told Cody Rhodes when you were going to yield in on him, gave him the heads up. Many other Galled in the Boundary winners, both in WWE and in the TWF, never did that beyond Rob Van Dam. Yes, Rob Van Dam did a stand-up thing when he told John Cena when or where he would yield in on him. Everyone else in WWE, both the men and the women, and the TWF the same, wouldn't say. They just show up when the TWF heavyweight fighter's in a bind. They'd yield it in and make it a freeway. But I'm not going to be like that. I know my time, I know my stead. And when I yield it in, I hope that I become the TWF heavyweight and world heavyweight fighter. Well, I want to say that was my talk with Peach. Back to you, Mike Today and Jim Ross. Thank you, Bob Walk, for talking with Peach here today on NXT. And that's all the time we got here for NXT. I, Mike Today, Jim Ross, and Booker T. We hope you like NXT, and we'll see you tomorrow for Dynamite or Might.